Whether you've completed one or you're contemplating completing one, covering an Ironman distance of 3.8k swim, 180k bike and 42k run is a daunting prospect. Well, that's why we're here to help. There is a lot to think about. How much training should you do? When should you start your training? How long should your longest bike ride be? I think you get the idea here. Well, the great news is we've got it all covered. Race season is back on. Do you have an Ironman that you entered for last year, it was postponed, it's rolled over and suddenly it's looming rather close? Is that panic starting to set in that you've got a race on the horizon? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. We're all trying to get our heads around racing again. And it's not just our heads, we've got to start to physically prepare our bodies, especially when it comes to racing an Ironman. And it will depend on where you're starting from. If you've completely let yourself go through lockdown and you've got an Ironman plan for the end of the season, well, you've got your work cut out. If, however, you've managed to keep up a certain amount of endurance training and you've been running and cycling throughout, then now is the perfect time to start to add in that structure. And it's hard to put an exact number on how long you need because it does depend on what background you're coming from. But if you've done an Ironman before and you've got a decent base, then 3 to 4 months should be adequate. But if you're doing your first Ironman or you've done very little training, you're going to need significantly longer. I hope I haven't left you in a panic from that one, but don't worry, there is some good news. You can actually train for an Ironman with as little as 10 hours per week. Now, I'm not going to go into detail and break down how that week should look today, but we have got a video on the channel purely looking at a 10-hour training week for an Ironman. Obviously, it does depend to a certain extent on your own personal circumstances, but it proves it is doable. If you base your plan off the bare minimum, then you'll need 2 swims, 2 to 3 bike sessions and 3 runs. This will need adapting according to where your weaknesses lie. For example, 2 swims might not be enough. And think about the ratio of the sports in an Ironman. If you're targeting, say, 14 hours, then that could be a 2-hour swim, 7 hours of cycling and 5 hours of running or something similar. And you can see from that you'll be spending more time on the bike than anything else, and the swim will be significantly smaller, even if that is an area that you struggle on the most. Adding in a brick session is a great way to maximize the time you've got training, but also to prepare your mind and your body for a race scenario. So you could simply add in a 30-minute run at the end of a bike that consists of 10 to 15 minutes running at your race pace to start with or somewhere within that run. And you can do this either at the end of a long ride or maybe after a shorter but more of a tempo effort to try to start replicating that race scenario. When it comes to your swim, you want to include a variety of technique work and then threshold and some race pace as well. And ideally, you want to cover the full distance of a 3.8 kilometers, whether that's broken, say by 400s with a short amount of rest, or if you manage to do the whole distance. It's going to help you get the idea of pacing and also give you that confidence you need. Now, your bike training needs to include at least 1 long ride per week, and as you build up, you want to try to hit a total of around 100 miles or 160k for your longest ride, around 3 weeks out from the big day. And you also need to, for the other 2+ sessions, include some harder, faster work, really pushing that upper threshold. And these are going to be a great bang for your buck, giving you a lot of return for that hard work, but without taking up too much time from your training week. And finally, remember that you can easily use a bike session as a nice recovery ride. Not everything needs to be hard. And fitting in the bike and the run gets tricky as they're both very leg dominant, but that is reality. That's what it's going to be like on race day. So really make sure that you've dialed in that brick session. And beyond that, you've got your long run, which really becomes key when you're training for a marathon. So ideally, you want to get that up to be doing it once a week, but to reach around 17 to 22 miles for your longest. Although make sure that this is, again, around 3 weeks out from the main event. So you've got time for your legs to absorb the work, but also recover and make sure you can fit that taper in. And around that, you've got at least 2 more runs. Well, if one is a brick run, 1 long run, and then your third run needs to be something that's going to be efforts above your race pace. And if you do have time for any more running, keep that all nice and easy. Use it as recovery runs for helping to build your aerobic base. getting all of your training done ahead of an Ironman is a challenge in itself, but for many, actually making sure you've had enough rest and recovery throughout is as much as a challenge. So around 6 to 3 weeks out from the big days when you should hit your peak mileage, and from then your weekly total should start to drop off. Doesn't mean you need to drop off the intensity, but just keep an eye on those fatigue levels. And you might have heard of the analogy of being overcooked or undercooked. Well, going into an Ironman, you want to have a fresh body and a fresh mind to be able to tackle this endurance challenge. And if you are slightly overcooked, there's not much you can do about it. Being undercooked leaves you with a little bit of frustration that maybe you wanted to do a little bit more training and you didn't quite get it all in, but you're actually going to be in a far better position to be able to complete your challenge. I reckon you're now going to be good to go. An Ironman is a huge achievement, but it also deserves a lot of respect. So make sure you allow yourself plenty of time and you stick to your training and you'll be great. Well, let us know what you've got planned, what's in the pipeline. Do that in the comments section below. If you've enjoyed it, hit that like button. And remember, you can follow GTN on social media and you can also subscribe and follow us on YouTube.